and welcome to today's meditation session. My name is Gaspar Hunt. I'm a piano teacher living here in Brisbane, Australia, and today's topic is illusion and reality. We all have a map of reality inside our mind. That is quite useful because we need to know what will happen if we put our finger in a flame. We need some sort of idea of how long things might take so that we can plan our day. But sometimes our inner map of reality becomes a hindrance and a source of frustration. For example, as a personal example, I'm a piano teacher, and some of my students sometimes come and I want to show them something new, something they think sounds pretty cool. And when I show them what they're going to learn, they sometimes think, oh my God, that looks so complicated. How am I ever going to learn that? And then as I break it down step by step and they understand it, they realize that they can master it in much less time than they thought, and they feel exhilarated that something they thought was going to take a long time took so much less time. On the contrary, however, sometimes I ask a student to do something, and something in their mind thinks, that sounds easy, and it's not actually as easy as they think. And as soon as it takes more time than they thought it was going to take, they get really frustrated and dejected. And it's all a bit arbitrary, isn't it? Whether they feel exhilarated or frustrated, that is just the cause of that little judgment in a microsecond in their minds as to how long it was going to take. And that is not completely aligned with reality. And sometimes that becomes a problem because if a student gets a bit frustrated, sometimes they get so frustrated that what I say stops going in, they lose their attention, they lose their focus, they become upset. So it's not always a good thing. Something I find helpful in these situations when I feel frustrated is to try and surrender. I try to surrender my old ideas of what was supposed to happen. I surrender that map, that naive map of reality, so that a new one, more updated, more in touch with actual reality can come through. So I would like to guide leaded meditation inspired by this topic and surrender. So we'll start our meditation by raising our Kundalini energy. We'll take our right hand and in front of us, raise it all the way to the top of our heads. We'll do that twice more as an invitation for our Kundalini to rise. As I am a piano teacher, I thought it would be nice to provide some live music, and you can just let it envelop you. You can let it shield you from all distracting noises like traffic outside, ticks of clocks. So I invite you to close your eyes, take your shoes off if they're not off already. Take some deep breaths. And surrender any restlessness in your attention. Anything that causes your attention to just buzz around like an insect. Surrender all that restlessness. Sometimes it can be helpful to have something to surrender to. So if you would like, you can surrender to your Kundalini, that energy that lives in your sacrum bone, rises through your spine, opens up all your chakras. The Kundalini is incredible at dissolving any blockages. So if you surrender any problems, it'll dissolve those as well. You can surrender any restlessness in our physical bodies. can surrender any emotion that might still be lingering with us from what's happened so far today. All these emotions that are like waves of an ocean, we can allow them to just rest for the duration of this meditation. We can also surrender any expectations we might have from this meditation, any expectations of how good we want to feel afterwards. Whatever we'll feel, we'll feel. Let us surrender. And let us surrender all our thoughts. Let's surrender those to our Kundalini. Let Shri push them apart, make space through them, dissolve them, like sugar dissolving in water. Instead of fighting them, we can just surrender them. Let's take our attention to our bottom chakra, our bottom energy center, which is located right at the bottom of our spine. And we'll surrender anything that makes us unsettled, unstable, that gets in the way of a feeling of gravity, magnetism, a feeling of being completely rooted, a feeling of being at the center of a wheel instead of being on the edge, being whirled around. Let's take our right hand and place it on our stomach. This is our third energy center. And here we'll surrender anything that prevents us from feeling peace and contentment and satisfaction. When we feel stressed, we feel a knot in our stomach. So this chakra, this energy center, is related to our feeling of satisfaction and peace. We feel satisfied when we've been nourished. This is where the nourishment ends up. Let's put our right hand on the left side of our stomach. The left side of this energy center. One of its aspects is caring for other people, being a good host. So let's surrender any part of our personality that makes it unpleasant for anyone else, that makes it so that others don't feel completely comfortable being around us. Anything that gets in the way of us being like a gentle lotus, pleasing to everyone around. Let's put our hand back into the center of our stomach, and around this energy center is the area of our self-discipline, our self-mastery. So let us surrender anything that gets in the way of our self-discipline, our willpower. Let's take our right hand up to our chest. And here we'll surrender any insecurities, any fears, when we feel insecure, threatened, unhappy, we feel a knot in our heart. Let us surrender any such knots. Let's take our hand to the left side of our chest, on our heart. And here we'll surrender anything that is getting in the way of our hearts opening. Surrender any stone-heartedness we may have. Surrender anything that stops our heart overflowing with unconditional love towards everyone and everything. Surrender anything that stops feeling joy and bliss in our hearts, feeling complete satisfaction. Let's put our hand across our forehead. And once again surrender all our thoughts. Surrender all our ego, any arrogance we may have, any false feelings of superiority. And on the other side, let's surrender any conditionings we may have, any ideas we may have inherited from our upbringing, from our country, from this era we're living in, from our culture, our parents, our families, from what we've read, what our friends believe. Let's surrender all of that, so we have no clouds between us and reality. And then finally, let's stretch our hand out with the palm of our hand, press the top of our head where our final energy center is, the one that connects us with the rest of the universe, all the energy around. And the primary quality of this center is precisely surrender. So now let us surrender completely. Not any particular thing, any particular quality, but a complete surrender, unconditional surrender. It's an unusual concept in our culture, but for example, when Muslims bow down, that is a physical embodiment of the act of surrender. They surrender themselves completely. A surrender to reality. Let's put our hand back on our lap, palm facing upwards. And let's spend a few minutes in a state of meditation. You can keep your attention at the top of your head where your hand was just before. And just enjoy the stillness while your Kundalini energy does its work. If you find any thoughts, just offer it up to your Kundalini energy to dissolve, to push aside. if you're ready, you may slowly open your eyes. And we'll now listen to a few words Shri Mataji, Nirmala Devi, has to say on this topic. She is the founder of Sahaja Yoga and has given many talks on different lectures.
First of all, I have to tell you, the mind about which we speak and depend upon is a myth. There's nothing like mind. Brain is reality, not the mind. Mind is created by us reacting to outside. Either we react to conditionings or to our ego. Thus, this mind is created like bubbles on the ocean of reality. But that's not reality. With this mind, whatever we decide, we know is very limited, elusive, and sometimes shocking. The mind always moves in a linear direction. And because there's no reality in it, it recoils and boomerangs. Thus, all the enterprises, all the projections so far we have done, it seems, come back to us. Whatever they discover comes back to us as a big destructive power or a very big shock. So one has to decide what to do, how to be out of this trap of our mind. Kundalini is the solution. When she is awakened, she takes you. With that awakening, she takes you beyond your mind. The first thing is to go beyond your mind. With mind, you will do many things, but it will not be satisfying. It will be not a solution. It will not help. And when we start depending too much on our mind, we develop all kinds of physical, mental, emotional problems. Now the latest is the stress. Stress, and this stress has no solution, they say. But in Sahaja Yoga, we find the solution by crossing over this mind. It's like a barrier for our advancement. So, when you get your realization, you must understand that your Kundalini has taken your attention beyond the mind. Now, this reaction to outside has come because we human beings have a prism-like brain, or we can say prism-like skull. And when the energy passes into it, I would explain it in my books. It goes into bifurcations, or you can say refractions, by which our attention goes out and we react. If we react too much, then these bubbles create a very horrible mind which can lead to any kind of thing. It justifies itself, it pampers your ego. The ego and the conditioning that creates this mind start using and this mind for the purpose of their fulfillment of their all the accumulation of ideas and thoughts which has no backing, which has no reality with it. It's like we make the computer. Ultimately, we become slaves of the computer. We make the watches ourselves, and then we become slaves of the watches. That's how it dominates human beings. And when a person who has a very strong mind decides to destroy, like Hitler did, with some idea, he can go on destroying, which has a very far-fetched effect on our culture, on our spirituality. Now the first step is to become thoughtlessly aware, where you cross your mind. You go above your mind. Mind cannot affect. This is the first stage, as we call it, thoughtless awareness.
So thank you for joining this session. I hope you feel nice now. And we'll finish by raising our Kundalini again and putting ourselves into Bandhan, into protection. This time we'll use our left hand to raise our Kundalini, and with our right hand we'll mimic the spiral motion that our Kundalini makes as it rises. Then we'll tie a symbolic knot, asking for it to stay up throughout the whole day. Tie it again. Do 2 knots. And we'll do it a third time. We'll do 3 knots. And we'll give ourselves what's called a bandhan, which is a protection. Take our right hand and from our left side do a horseshoe shape all across. We'll do that 7 times.